Slide 113, the Vav that connects heaven and earth and is related to a sign, Ot. Okay, well, this may seem like a lot of philosophy, the last few slides, and indeed it is, but I think it's important for us to grasp this eternal aspect of the Word of God, the fact that the Vav changes time, and the fact that the Vav connects heaven and earth, and that the letter Vav is the center of the word for sign, and on either side of the word, the letter Vav, is the Aleph and Tav. By the way, if we change that Vav to a Mem, we would have the word Emet, truth. Remember Pilate standing before Yeshua and saying, "What is truth?" Where truth was actually sitting in front of him, the Aleph and Tav. And Yeshua is also the Vav. He's the Vav being the sixth letter, being the number of man. He's the new Adam. He's the last Adam. And the letter Vav is in the name Levi, because Levi means to attach, and the word for attach is Vav. The very word Vav means to attach and to connect. And Leah said after her third child, Levi, she said, now my husband will be attached to me. And so she called Levi's name Levi, because that means to attach, So this is the job also of Levi, is to attach the tribes of Israel to Yahweh. This is the job of the priests, and this is the job of Yeshua as a priest of a higher order, of a heavenly order, higher than the order of Levi or Aaron. Yeshua is a Vav. He's a priest that attaches, that brings two parties together. He brings, through the Shabbat, the Aleph and the Tav together. He brings the house of Judah and the house of Israel together. He brings man and wife together. He brings the law and the prophets together. He unifies everything. And so the Sabbath really represents the unity that Yahweh wants in his creation. So let's have a look at this in more detail. Here we have the V'et in this verse. So we're looking at this in a philosophical way. We're not looking at it necessarily just the face value of what these words are saying, but we're deriving a story, if you like, a deeper meaning to the verses. So this V'et becomes Ot if we rearrange the signs. Rearrange the letters. In biblical Hebrew, two different words spelt with the same letters, but in a different order, have a related meaning. Okay, so there's a relationship here in Hebrew. So this is the sign. The Sabbath is a sign. And the Jews require a sign, it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 22. The Jews require an Ot. And one thing that the Jewish people have been very faithful in keeping, compared especially to the lost tribes, is they've kept the physical Sabbath. And that's exactly what Yahweh commanded Israel to do. And as well as keeping the physical rest, we need to enter into that spiritual rest through the Messiah. In any case, in verse 23 of 1 Corinthians 1, we read, "But we preach Messiah crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks, or the Goyim, or the nations, foolishness. Okay, so the preaching of the Messiah stumbles people, both Jews and Gentiles, and it is foolishness to them. But to whoever receives him, whether Jew or Gentile, that's a different thing entirely. So the Sabbath reminds us that Yahweh is creator, and it is related to the word sign or ot. The Sabbath. Now, Sabbath is the seventh day. And what is linking here to the seventh word? The Vav. On the 6 days is connecting to the seventh word. Because the Sabbath is to be kept here on earth. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ladoratam berit olam v'ani uvayan b'nei Yisrael ot hi la'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Yahweh et ha-Shemayim ve'et ha'aretz uv'yom ha-Shvi'i Shabbat v'yanafash. And in English, wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord, or Yahweh, made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. So, the Sabbath is a sign, and this is the word for sign, ot. So, the fact is that the sign, the Sabbath, is related to this link between heavens and earth, and it's related to Yeshua being the perfect man, the Vav, and being perfect God, being the channel of the Father's will through the Aleph Tav. Yeshua being the Aleph Tav in human form or in divine form. He's the Aleph Tav. So when the Father speaks, he speaks through the channel which is his word. He speaks through the Aleph Tav personified in his Son, his firstborn of all creation. And through that Son, he creates the heavens and the earth. And that the 6th word here, rearranged, is the word for sign, and it's related to the Sabbath. And the Sabbath is relates the 6 days of creation to the 6 days of creation, and so the sign ot is also related to creation of the heavens and the earth, and is also related to the Sabbath and thus to time. Okay, so the Sabbath, the sign is related to the Sabbath, and the Sabbath is a certain day of the week, so it's related to time. So the ot, the sign of the Sabbath, is related to time, and we know that the Vav changes the future into the past and the past into the future. So this here is a little bit of a philosophical way of looking at these verses and seeing the importance of the Sabbath and the importance of this connection between the heaven and the earth through the Vav and through the Aleph Tav. The Aleph Tav being more related to God, and the Vav being more related to man, and those all unified together in the perfect God-man. This is how Adam was supposed to be in the rest of God. Just resting in Elohim, doing everything that the Father said, and not doing or deviating anything from his word. Adam was supposed to keep his word completely. Now, he was tempted and he fell, but the last Adam, Yeshua, became a quickening spirit, and he has rescued the whole plan, if you like, or redeemed the human race, and so brought us full circle back into the garden, if you like, back into the presence of God in the Holy of Holies. So the Sabbath, the sign, is a sign about entering into his rest and returning to that place of tranquility and rulership with God in the heavens and on earth. And Yeshua is the very focus of all of that, being the Vav, being the second Adam, and the new, and the priest. And remember, Levi is related to that Vav, because Levi means to attach, and the word Levi is from the word Vav, to attach, to hook, to connect. So I hope that was interesting, and perhaps will help you when doing the grammar and having to grapple with this Vav that changes the verbs from future to past and past to future. I found it quite confusing when I first started learning Hebrew, because it was hard enough to learn the table of verbs, let alone reverse it, and have to do that in my head. But I soon got used to it, and I hope you will too. And perhaps you'll see the reason why this is the way it is, because the Word of God is telling us amazing things about time and eternity, and about entering into his rest at the Sabbath, and his Son, the perfect man and perfect God. Now, when I say perfect God, I don't mean that he is the Father, but he is from the Father, of the Father. He's from that eternal light. He's an outshining, or a laser beam, if you like, from the Father. He's part of the Father. That beam is coming from the Father. That's what Yeshua is. So he's one with God and is God in the Father, from the Father. He's a separate entity, but he is one. And this is indeed how we all are. We're all individuals on one level, but if we're truly born of God, we're actually at another level. We're actually one with him. We're connected to him. And so we are B'nai Elohim. We are sons of God. And if we are keeping his word, then we are Elohim, but not in the sense of little gods doing what we want to do. No, we are his sons, we are emanations from him, and we do those things that the Father commands, even as the Son does all those things that the Father commands. So we live for him, even as he lives in us and through us. So we are vessels, and we are servants of the Most High, but we're also sons, and we are made in the image of Elohim.